Hello, and welcome to Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us. I am your host and illuminator, Jennifer Carey. Join us on our mission to shine light on the false narratives and limiting beliefs that are holding us back from joy, bliss, and healthy relationships. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Illuminating the Stories That Bind Us. I'm super excited about today's episode. Today, I have my favorite, my beloved yoga teacher, Michelle Gallant, with me. And I have to say, there's many things that I love about Michelle and the way that she teaches yoga, but one of the things that I love the most is she teaches to everything. So I feel like, Michelle, you teach to my body, you teach to the physical part of me. I feel like you teach to the spiritual part of me. I feel like you teach to the mental, the cognitive part of me, because you'll often, remind us like, where are you? Come back, come back, come back into your bodies. And you also speak to the emotional and the everyday life. I feel like I can bring whatever we do in yoga on the mat and take it with me. It just
Right,
has like a ripple effect of where it
right,
goes. It's well beyond our time together. So
right.
I'm so excited to share you.
Well, great. Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Jen. And what you said is true. It's all in our body, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, and it comes out uh when we start to move around with awareness. So, yeah,
That's
good.
exactly it. That's it. The like mind, body, soul connection. And I think one of the things that we're going to talk about today is that is that connection and how working with our bodies in yoga, working with our breath, working with awareness and stories.
Mhm.
When we work on one, it impacts the rest of them. Like
That's
everything
right.
is connected. And so we're going to bring that home today for sure.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. And
Sounds
we
good.
have exciting news at the end of it where you'll be able to experience it live if people can make it. So we'll talk about that as well. Um, so yeah, so this idea of we're all connected, right? The idea, I love the saying or the expression, our issues are in our tissues, right?
Mhm.
A lot of times when I talk about illuminating the stories that bind us, I talk about how the stories originate usually from our family of origin and our role within it, as well as traumatic experiences.
Right.
And just the idea that they're in our bodies, they're in ourselves.
Mhm. That's right. And it comes out through movement. If, a lot of times because we're holding in our body, that holding is a tension and it limits often the range of motion. So whether that's in your shoulders or in your hips, um, experiences can get stuck and we're not aware of it
That's right.
until we stop and just focus in on a stretch and a breath, and then it starts to become real that, wow, what is there? Why can't I access that, or why doesn't it open a little bit more? Right.
Yes. Yeah. And that awareness comes from the opportunity, right? The opportunity of doing yoga and then you feel it and it can be beyond just, oh, I'm not a flexible person. Like it
Mhm.
can be, no, this could be an experience, this could be a story, this
Right.
could be
Right.
something else.
And oftentimes through our day, we only move so much. We don't explore our full range of motion, right? We're operating habit, or we're seated, or we're doing repetitive things all the time. So it doesn't really show up until we start to move out of what we're comfortable doing for movement, or what we traditionally would do. It can be as easy or simple as getting an awareness when you reach up for a glass that's on the top shelf. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden you start to feel, wow, what is that in my side, in my arm, right? My
Yes.
shoulder.
Yes.
So, yeah, things like that. And yoga gives us the opportunity to explore, right?
Hmm.
Movement and kind of discover places in our body that might be a little more closed, that we don't have access to. If
Yeah.
it's maybe even breathing into a certain part.
Exactly. Yeah. And so if we choose to stay there,
Right.
right, and not avoid it, right? A lot of times we're like, "Ow, that hurts. I'm not going to do that again." But if we give it the opportunity to be and give it
Mhm.
attention and like you said, sit with it, breathe with it, then it's
Mhm.
the opportunity that it'll move.
Right. A lot of times too, when we start something like this where we're focused in the body, we become, we differentiate between what's sensation, like, oh, that's different, and what's pain, right? So we want to stay away from the pain and just kind of work on that edge of sensation and just watch how it might affect our emotions as
Hmm.
we're experiencing some sensation, right? Or our thoughts. Where do our thoughts go as we're starting to experience that sensation? So that's how we can kind of use the body as a tool to uncover maybe something that's there,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Listen to the messages it's sending us, right?
Right,
Our bodies are intelligent and really hold a lot of wisdom and hold a lot for us if we give it
right.
the chance to share
Exactly. Exactly.
it. Hmm.
Just needs the space
Hmm.
and time,
That's it.
to
That's
show
it.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The safe space and the structure. Um, so I'd like to use myself as an example. So I'd like to kind of give a real life example of how this may show up. Um, so I know recently, Michelle, we were in class and we were doing heart openers, and that is definitely a place where I know I'm limited. And those of you who are watching this can see I'm already trying to like touch my shoulder blades together and you know open up my heart and
Mm.
stretch. And I know I had an opportunity on the mat to think about that a little bit more. And then you and I had an opportunity before one of your amazing massages, 'cause you're a massage therapist as well, to talk about it a little bit more. And I can come up with many stories as to why my
Mhm.
shoulders kind of naturally are, if I'm not paying attention, if I am not aware, the default is definitely to close in a little bit.
Round
Yes,
down,
round
come
up.
in.
Yes, exactly. Um,
Mhm.
and so yes, we can go right to the physical that maybe because I'm typing all day, there might be a little bit of that. But if we go deeper, the amount of stories, and you and I talked about, it may just be my build, right? It may just
Mhm.
be genetically how my body is built. I do have a little bit more in the upper region, so it just might be a
Right,
weight, right?
right,
And so then I need to strengthen it. But if we go a little bit deeper, I know there's stories. First of all, speaking of that, there are stories of modesty, that I
right,
wasn't supposed to have my chest sticking out.
right,
That was there when I took a pause and looked. I have a very sensitive heart. Those that know me, I have a big heart, but it is sensitive. So there's even a little bit of that being held in my body. Um,
protection.
Protection. Yeah. You know what? If I have this here, my shoulders up, then maybe my heart isn't that exposed. And then if we go a little bit deeper, speaking of family roles and family of origin, I definitely have a very responsible and competent role in my family. And that means that there's weight
Right,
on my shoulders if I'm not aware of it and
right,
and cognizantly or make it a point to say that's not my responsibility. The default is it is.
right, right. Well, when we're not, right, present in the body, the mind is going. And so it's just putting you into what's comfortable, whatever position, that is. So we're talking about the upper body. Yeah, and through time it gets amplified. So if it's not recognized, then as time goes on and we get older, it just gets worse, right?
Yes.
And the closing in, the shortening of the muscles in the front,
Yeah.
the stretch of the muscles in the back because of the weight coming forward, right? And then, it just continues on physically, and what's in that, energetically or emotionally, right?
Yes.
So the longer that the story continues, the greater the effect it has, because the body can change and it will change,
Hmm.
right? Is if you give it the right movements, the right breathing, the right food, the right environment, right? The right belief
Yes.
systems,
That's right.
it'll start to open.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And it feels like the mindfulness, the yoga, the attention just moves that along. It's a wonderful boost. And, just if everyone right now who's listening just kind of puts their shoulders back, it's hard not to feel empowered when just the, like you're saying, the energetic
Hmm.
movement of doing that. And I feel like yoga gives this safe container to start to do that. And
Right.
then that communication happens. Like my body's telling my mind, this feels good. This feels right, you know?
That's a great exercise to do. If, people just, those who are watching, just kind of sit and round down and slouch a little bit,
Yes.
take a breath, close their eyes, and then bring themselves upright and just notice the shift in
Ah,
energy, right? So
yes.
that's a good cue as
Yes.
to what we're talking about here and how quickly it can shift,
How
right?
quickly it can shift. It really is like a shortcut if you
Mm-hmm.
give yourself the chance. It's a
Right.
shortcut. And I know we're talking also about, this awareness of belief systems, the awareness of stories, and that helps with the communication as well, because our cells and our body is listening. It's listening to this powerful organ of our brain up here, right?
Right. Right. Um, yeah, that's a big piece of our physiology, is that the body doesn't know that it's only a story, right?
Yes.
So the body will respond however it needs to. So if you're thinking and you're introducing tension or anxiety just in your thoughts, just in that story, the body is going to start to respond, on a hormonal level, like the adrenals will start to kick in a little bit, right? And cortisol. And then now you're starting to have your body flood with that, and you're not needing it.
That's
There
right.
is no fight or flight. You don't need to run anywhere. It's just a story in your mind. And
Yes.
so that will have an effect on us, how we're feeling in that moment. And what happens when your body doesn't use that?
Mhm.
Where does it go? Right?
Well said. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because
uh,
we've told our body fight. We've told our body fight or get out of here. And so it's like, oh, okay.
mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm-hmm,
and so it goes into that mode, and
right.
yoga slows that down.
Well, it does. And it makes us aware that we're having a thought,
Yes.
that thought.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
once we're aware of it, we can have a choice. Do we want to continue to think that thought or stop it
Yes. Yep.
and choose to change direction to something else that's maybe more pleasant and life affirming and, you know,
Yes, exactly. And let's heal it, because what we're narrowing down on this mission of illuminating stories that bind us is most of the stories and beliefs aren't true. They're not even true, and we're operating as if they are.
right, right. Yeah, that's the big piece, to be
Mm,
able to identify that and change it.
that's right.
And that's what you're good at, is to rewrite that script.
Mm-hmm.
you know, Once we can identify it using the tools of yoga and breath to slow it down, slow us down so we can see it,
Yes.
and then rewrite it.
Exactly, exactly. And then reinforce it with the yoga of just like pushing it along, right? And
Mhm.
the empowerment and the movement of postures in a supportive space to just have that, just the physical impacts the emotional, impacts the mental, and just that
Right.
whole sequence.
Yeah. And, using the breath as the tool too. If
Mhm.
once you have a new belief, you can inhale, just inhale that new belief, and then exhale, let go of the old, right?
Yes.
And you can feel that release, that softening happening in the body.
Yes.
And it can be that simple. It doesn't have to be really hard, It just is. Well, the breath is so tied into the mind and thinking that it works. It's like a little miracle,
Hmm.
that we have
Yep.
um using that. So,
Exactly, exactly. And just to tie it around, it feels like if all of us that are listening that want to do this kind of go back to the posture of opening our hearts. So let's think, what are some of the postures like cobra? Um, what are other
oh,
ones that are
even just
heart?
taking your hands behind your back,
Yes.
interlacing them,
Yep.
or holding a wrist or something, and trying to lift the heads of the shoulders up and back. That's beautiful, just to sit and breathe, and maybe let your head go, and you open your heart, you open your throat, and nice full
Love
deep
it.
breath.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it doesn't, and use the breath as opposed to straining. So if you just say you're doing that, interlacing your hands behind your back, and then take your breath really big and full, as big as you can get it, to kind of push the boundary of your chest forward a bit, you'll feel the opening, and then you exhale, and then you've just created some space there, right?
Hmm.
So it's not like you have to effort really hard or strain or hurt yourself. You just breathe, and the breath will do the work. It will create the space. You
Absolutely.
exhale, maybe you squeeze your shoulders together and, take up that space and do it again.
Do it.
So yeah, it's a very safe way.
Very safe way. And if we take it that step further that you were just speaking to, and maybe I replace my story with it's safe to open my heart, right? It's safe to open my heart. It's safe to let go of
Right.
responsibility, right? I can let that go and just breathing in that, right? Safe to open my heart,
Mm-hmm.
holding it, and then just exhaling and just adding that last kind of mental cognitive rewrite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it
That's
already
perfect.
feels good.
That's it.
That's it. So, if any of you want a taste of that, Michelle and I on May 19th in Salem, Massachusetts, will be co-facilitating a workshop, which I'm so excited about. And I will bring in the illuminating the stories that bind us and guide us in becoming more aware of some of the stories that we hold in our bodies and where they're held physically. And Michelle, you're going to bring in all of your gifts in helping us work with our body and our breath to
Mm-hmm.
shift.
Yeah, to shift. Nothing too crazy as far as the yoga goes. Just, you'll be surprised. Just
Yes.
put yourself in a position and breathe and see what happens.
Oh,
Let let the energy do the work. Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
right.
Trust the process. It goes where it needs to.
Right, right.
So, yay. Well, I'm so excited for that. And if any of you listeners want to join us, it's limited space, but you can find it at my website, jenniferhcarey.com/events, and go register. And we will be so happy to see you there.
Yeah, we will.
Yay. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for being a part of this. And I can't wait to continue to collaborate on this very important topic.
Right. Thanks, Jen. I look forward to working with you too. See you
Yay.
soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening. If you have found any of this inspiring or helpful, please share this episode with a friend. Visit www.jenniferhcarey.com for more information about my psychotherapy and coaching services, as well as upcoming events, workshops, and retreats. Wishing you joy, freedom, and healthy relationships.